Good afternoon and welcome to the live stream for Sebastian Korda versus Jannik Sinner. We are just a couple of points in already. Just let you know that Sinner is currently 15 love up at this stage here, having a real good rally with Seb Korda at the moment. Seb goes for the drop shot, Sinner just gets to it, or just doesn't able to get it over the net. Yes, so we've got, like we said, we've got the American, Sebi Korda, and then we have the man of the moment, or the man of the year so far, we could pretty much call him, the Australian Open, Rotterdam and Miami champion. And yes, that's all just from this year already. Jannik Sinner, who is gunning here for his first clay Masters 1000, if he can go throughout the entirety of the tournament. Which would just be nuts if he was able to, continue the run that he's been doing on. He's been playing absolutely outstanding tennis. But of course, the big caveat on that is that outstanding tennis was on the hard courts. We are now, of course, on a different surface. We are onto the clay. We are onto the dirt. The red stuff that gets caught in our shoes in this contest. In this tournament here, in this swing here that we're running through, which will culminate, or at least we'll run through places like Madrid, Rome, and then we'll culminate at the French Open in Paris. Sinner, of course, has a title on clay, has at least one title on clay. That was UMAG a couple of years ago, where he famously beat Alcaraz in the final, in a very good three-set final there. Alcaraz was looking to defend his title, and Sinner decided to go along and up-skip the apple carts, as I say there. We can already see Ghost in the chat saying Alejandro Davidovich Fekina, Dan Evans, Artifice, and Andrei Rublev. All my guys are getting knocked out. They are all getting knocked out quite quickly. The big shock, of course, in the match on Ranier the third earlier on was that we get a brilliant passing shot winner by Sinner there. God, he's really showing some footwork on the court. What we're noticing, or I say what we noticed in the match earlier on, was that the defending champion, and yes, as Ghosty has pointed out in the chat, the defending champion, Andrei Rublev, pretty handily swatted away, you could say, by the Australian Alexei Popyrin, 6-4, 6-4. Quite a bit of a shock of a victory, as Sinner as Korda hits a double fault, giving Sinner the first game of the set. So that means Sinner was already an early breakup against the American, not the start the American would be looking to have. But like we said, just reflecting back, it's such a big shock of a game. Popyrin was playing incredibly well, getting great length on his returns. The consistency of length on his returns completely neutralized Sinner. Completely neutralized Rublev during a lot of the rallies, and then that big hitting, had a big forehand, big serve, kept the aggression up, and Popyrin was able to win 6-4, 6-4, and even in the second set came from a breakdown to win the match. That means for Rublev, that's 990 points that will not be defended. He'll get 10 points for showing up, and that will be about it. So he'll lose 990 points. And he will take a bit of a rankings hit from that. But there is, of course, plenty of time left in the clay court season. As we said, we've got the 500 tournament next week in Barcelona, which Rublev is down for, as long as well with the two Masters 1000 tournaments in Madrid and Rome for the French Open. Just to repeat it, as I've probably said before. But that does, though, mean that it sets up the possibility, and it will be confirmed, as I've just looked at my timing screen. I say my timing screen like I'm watching F1. When I'm looking at my score screen here, that Alex de Minaur on Court des Princes has beaten Talon Griggs 4-2-6, 6-2, 6-3, meaning that there will be an all-Australian third-round match that will be taking place tomorrow for a chance to get into a quarterfinals, which I'm sure the Aussies would be very happy to be able to get a player into the quarterfinals. One final note of Popyrin, he also has won a clay court title. He won UMAG, funny enough, last year as well. But continuing the UMAG theme that I seem to have started here. As I say, Sinner is 1 love up and 15 love up at the moment, chucking in some good serves. And I don't know if it seems to be the last day of potentially any issues to do with rain or any concerns to do with rain. So if you remember yesterday, play was play didn't start for 2 hours after the original start time because it was raining. The rain managed to stop yesterday, luckily enough, and they managed to get an entire day's work of play through, culminating as unfortunately for Ghosty, culminating in the Fils Musetti match, which took place late last night, at least in Monte Carlo times, in which it was a really good atmosphere. I really enjoyed watching that match. It's like a last way of finishing the game, and it was on De Francis as well, which is a very enclosed, quite close together court, second court. I've been on there once in person. That was a couple of years ago. If you ever get a chance to go to Monte Carlo, I would highly recommend that you have, of course, get a ticket for Rania the Third, go onto the big court, but get yourself a day ticket for De Francis. It's well worth it. Absolutely well worth it. As Korda is unhappy with a up call. Korda Sinner did a drop shot. The referee deemed it to bounce twice, and as such, saying that Korda didn't get to it, so Sinner is 30-15 up. If you remember, if you can, put in the chat what you think the score will be, maybe for this match. If you've got any questions about tennis, Monte Carlo, anything in general, do please put it in the chat. I will do my best to answer it where we can. And I will just go through some results as well that we've already had today, because a few have already flown through. So as was mentioned, De Minaur through to the third round, beating Talon Grigspor. So he has at least made his seeding, as what would be a usual expectation of any sort of seeded player in a title. He's the 11th seed, so would be expected to get to at least the third round. And he will play Alexei Popyrin in that third round contest. So good chance for one of those two players to get themselves a quarterfinals this year. And then the other match that has finished already is the lucky loser. So, of course, the big news yesterday was that Carlos Alcaraz. We saw some sort of strapping on his arm, somewhere on his arm, a day ago, a couple of days ago during training. It looked pretty drastic, I must admit. But it actually is as bad as it looks, effectively, and he's had to pull himself out of Monte Carlo, which bizarrely means that he's got his weird stat where he has never won a match at Monte Carlo. Because last year he withdrew before the tournament took place, and the year before he played the second round match against, funny enough, Sebi Korda, and he lost that match to Sebi Korda. I remember being there at the time, not actually watching the match, but being on De Francis and hearing the roars from the crowd on that court as that result in that match took place. So he goes for a brilliant drop shot as my stream freezes, and Korda has a break point chance already to break straight back. 40-30 on, or 30-40 on that one there on Sinner's serve. But just to go back, because of course with Carlos Alcaraz withdrawing, not playing the competition. By the sounds of it, he's going to wait until Friday before he's going to make a decision if he can try and go and play Barcelona. One of the two clay court places that he's got to defend his title at. He's a two-time actually defending champion because he won it in 22 and 23. So looking to win it 3 times on the bounce, similar for Madrid, funny enough as well. As Korda's return goes along the baseline, so we're back to juice there. But like we're saying, so with Alcaraz's withdrawal, Lorenzo Sonego came in as the lucky loser straight into the second round slot. And his task was to play Felix Auger-Aliassime, who had a good match on Monday. Comfortably beat the opponent that he was playing. And Sonego, though, has shown his form up on court 9, which is just at the top of the hill. If you ever go to Monte Carlo, you'll see that court 9 and 11 are almost at the top of the hill of the actual country club site, whereas Ranier, De Francis, and court 2 tends to be at the bottom. But up on the hill, Sonego was able to see aside Auger-Aliassime 6-4, 7-5. And I know he was a breakdown in that second set as well, Sonego. So that was very good going from the Italian. So that puts Sonego into the third round, which his potential opponent is still yet to be decided. Let me just get that up there. Is the winner of Zhang versus Humbert. So really good opportunities there for players to get themselves to the quarterfinals. Are certainly popping up there. And if you're a doubles guy, and I like to keep track of the doubles, the round of 16 match, Granollers and Ceballos beat Le Mans and Rivero 6-2, 6-4 to give us a match result there. And I'm just keeping a track of all other contests as well, just to make sure we're all up to date. So Echeverry and Tsitsipas, they've just gone on to court. and then also Kachanov and Cerundolo are in a bit of a dogfight, but Kachanov looks like he's sniffing his nose in front. The first set went to Cerundolo 6-4. The second set went to Kachanov 6-4. And then the third set, Kachanov is currently 5-2 up. Cerundolo is serving at the moment. So it looks like Karen Kachanov will be looking to book his place into the third round. Zhang and Humbert have gone on to court on court 9. And on court 11, Gilles and Valayan are 6-4, 2-1 up against Dodic and Kravich. So looking good there. So as you say, plenty of tennis that is taking place. I mean, you'd imagine it. Tsitsipas, the two-time champion, it just shows the quality that is taking place at the moment on these courts. As we're still in the juice game at the moment, it's constantly been sort of flying between juice and ads on both Korda and Sinner on the Sinner serve here. But like I say, the fact that Steph Tsitsipas, the two-time defending champion, the two-time champion of this tournament, 21 and 22 when he won his two titles. He is, as the 12th seed, has been shoved out for his second round match on the De Princes on the second court. So that'd be a bit of a shock or a bit of a change for him. As all his other matches have always been on the centre court or on Ranier the third. Korda though has a break point here. He was really sticking it in the centre service game, and as we know, Korda is a bit of an all surface player. He can play on hard, he can play on grass, and he can play on clay. So it's not going to be an easy one for Sinner to spot aside, as Sinner does a brilliant serve out wide, and Korda on the return goes along with the baseline on that bit there. And I was just spoke for a lot there. I've also got my great cup here, which is a clay court with a background with a tennis racket and whatnot. Picked this up at Monte Carlo 2 years ago, so I'll use it as my clay court tennis cup to sort of drink out of when the clay season is on. All that good stuff. So Sinner down the tee, backhand by Korda, backhand by Sinner, backhand by Korda. Wow, that was I think it almost looked like it was his sister who was on the court there with a swing on that backhand. It was more of a golfing shot, the way it flew up into the air. But it's just got a timer saying it's an 8-minute duration game is at the moment. So like I said, do comment in the chat, say hi. Any questions, comments, please do put in there. I'm happy to try and answer. Okay, so see here, so Sinner here with advantage on his serve. He would quite like to get himself to 2-love. It's cross court. It's just long by Sinner, so a few mistakes are popping up at the moment. Certainly a few mistakes at the moment. It's 40 minutes on the clock, and we're on game 2. Crikey. So Sinner goes down the tee. Korda, just that, obviously a let cord on that one. Self up, goes cross court. Korda able to get a racket onto it, but it was into the net. So advantage Sinner. Sinner really getting tested here at the moment. The opponent is not making it easy for him, as you would expect when playing Sebi Korda. So Sinner goes down the tee. So that was a let, so I'll get another first serve. The sun is nice and out at the moment. A good shadow at the back of Sinner, which is good to see. Hopefully we don't have any rain issues today. Cross court, backhand by Korda. Out it goes, and that is Sinner to love. So he'll be pleased to get out of that service game. It was a bit of a slog on that one. Of course, one of the big, as we see some Italian flags blowing in the stands, some happy Italian supporters. They're having a good day today already with Sonego winning his match. But a big factor or a big big factor is a good word to go for. A big factor for the Monte Carlo tournament is its location. Because in Monte Carlo, of course, it's quite close to France, or is basically surrounding France, and the actual tennis venue itself is actually in France for the actual club itself, which is just literally on the other side of the border of the Monaco area. But it has a big French population, but it also has a big Italian population, and a lot of Italian in the Monaco area and around that part of southern France, because it's very close to the Italian border. A lot of the train that you can get to the Monte Carlo Country Club actually starts over in Cannes and actually finishes its journey a couple of stops into Italy, so you can get a direct train to the country club from Italy. So a lot of Italian fans. It's a brilliant backhand down the line by Sinner takes place there. So a lot of Italian fans can make their way to the Monte Carlo Masters, almost like it's seen as another bit of a home tournament for them. So you always get a good Italian representation in Monte Carlo. Into the net there by Sinner, also by Korda. As just to confirm, or we'll do that in just a bit. Let's mix it down. Backhand by Sinner, backhand by Korda, backhand by Sinner, forehand by Korda. All at the baseline at the moment. Good baseline exchanges. Korda really pushing Sinner from side to side there, like he is matching him strength for strength at the moment in these rallies. Sinner is not going to have it all his own way. So Korda goes down the tee, just slightly long, so second serve. Backhand by Sinner into the tram line, and that is Korda's first game on the board. So although Sinner got that early break, he was able to take advantage of a slightly wayward service game from Korda, which you could expect from the start of the service game. It is still, though, very close. You'd expect Korda at this stage looking like he's going to be a real threat in this match. So Sinner's going to have to put all his workeries together to make sure that he completes this match, or at least is able to keep his nose in front. I was just saying as I just stopped there. So on court 2, Karen Khachanov did finish off his match and did finish it off in the end and won the match 4-6, 6-4, 6-3. So Karen has booked his place into the third round. The results you probably have coming thick and fast. Zhang and Humbert are on court 9. I'm sure court 2 will update themselves soon, and Tsitsipas and Etcheverry will start very soon as well. As you're saying, loads of matches taking place at the moment, which is always the way. Which is we're this style, of course, of Masters tournament where you only have a 64-player field, or even actually lower than that. It's usually a 56-player field, with the 8 buys given to the top 8 seeds. But with that format that we've got at the moment, of course, it is a dying breed of a format. Last year, Rome, Madrid, and Shanghai moved to the 12-day format, which is a 96-player field, with the top 32 seeds getting a first-round bye. Those 3 tournaments have moved to that system, which is the system we see at Indian Wells and Miami. And next year, the Canadian Masters and also the Cincinnati Masters will also be moving to a similar format for their tournaments. So we're very much, Monte Carlo and the Paris Masters will be the last tournaments that will have, on the men's side, these will be the last tournaments that will hold this format of play, which is a real shame, really, because the 1 week Masters, I think a lot of us agree, are incredibly good product offerings, because you get a lot of high quality matches very early on, and you get to see the best players in the world playing each other on a regular basis throughout that week. So it's going to be a shame when this format dies, or when this format goes and we've just got 2 tournaments left. But we're seeing at the moment how that format can work really well at this tournament, and what will end up being Paris Masters as well. So look up the line. He is currently 15 love up. He's just keeping himself in check. So go to the line, back down by Korda, back down by Sinner, back down by Korda, back down by Sinner, really pushing each other, trying to get good length on their returns. And that was an excellent one by Sinner. He managed to get a good inside out, quite close to this line bit there on his backhand return, and Korda sticks it the other side. And guess who's come to join us?
Hello, James. Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that we're already playing, honestly, because I went for a run and I was thinking that basically Popper and Rublev are probably going to go into the third set. The Minor Kriegspor, maybe the third set will be a bit longer. But then I'm coming back and we're already playing. We're already up a break for Sinner as well, which kind of takes at least some excitement out of the match so far. But again, I haven't seen even 1 point so far. So, well.
No, they're both equal. I'd say both are equal. Sinner is just going through the gears at the moment. Oh, that was a brilliant forehand though by Korda. Yikes! Did you get it on the line? He's looking.
I don't think so.
It looked like it was into me. But no, yeah, that first service game, few mistakes from Korda. It was obviously somebody getting warmed up into the contest. And then there was a Sinner service game, the first one. It was actually out from Korda, so 40 love Sinner. But on the previous Sinner service game, it was an 9 minute game. There was a lot of juices, advantage Korda, advantage Sinner. Both players really sort of figuring each other out.
I see Ghosty already in the chat with the Korda hate. Of course, it's gonna be there from him. But yeah, I guess mostly I would say that like the big chance for Korda here was if Sinner had that rusty game at the beginning, right? If Sinner had some sort of rough start into the match, but if he doesn't, that might be rough, but we'll see. Is Jannik Sinner now the main favorite to win Monte Carlo after Alcaraz withdrew?
Oh, good question. I would probably say yes, mainly based on the fact of what we've seen from Sinner this year, and that the nearest person who could rival Sinner for the title would be Djokovic. You would think mind-wise, but we've known since 2017 how Djokovic performs at Monte Carlo, that it doesn't tend to be that great. His motivation for playing the tournament, I think, only really extends as far as the fact that he lives in the area. Otherwise, I think he would skip it if that wasn't the case. But the fact that Sinner is so dominant this year, and this is an opportunity for Djokovic to potentially maybe actually stake a claim, and he now knows that he has a route through to the final, which won't have him face Alcaraz, but he can see Sinner on the other side. Could that give that additional motivation to get to that final to try and beat him? Because we know that we think Djokovic will be he certainly will want to beat Sinner soon. He won't want to allow the Sinner train to continue to rumble on the way it is without him trying to at least disrupt it in some way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a lot of extra factors when Djokovic was not doing well in Monte Carlo the last few years. Like, it usually wasn't just, I don't know, him not being up for it, but there were a couple of clay swings when he was like still a little maybe injured at the beginning and just sort of got himself into form maybe by Madrid, maybe even by Rome. So probably it's a bit of an overrated stat, but then again, yeah, I mean, the slower, especially basically the last few years, the slower the conditions get, probably not the best for Novak. So I don't know. I would say that Sinner is the main favorite now. I would say that probably he wasn't there in the first place, but yeah, right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would have had Alcaraz come. If Alcaraz is the main favorite for the title, if he played this week. Just because he's already this is his surface effectively, or I say that his surface in terms of this is his favourite surface and the one in which he'll want to do very well on this year.
Definitely after Indian Wells, I kind of felt that, well, if Alcaraz gets a slower court against Sinner, he'll have more time to adjust, he'll have more time to come up with stuff, and yeah, maybe he's going to pull it off and sort of be the number one player for the clay swing. Now we kind of have to wait and see if he's actually ready for Barcelona, Madrid, Rome, and the other stuff. But yeah, that does help Sinner for sure. I would love to see a great Rune Sinner match, just like last year in Monte Carlo. I just don't know if Holger is there, and if they both make the quarterfinals, I'm still gonna be very excited for it. But I just don't know if Holger is ready to go like this again and Jannik again.
No, you raise a very good point there, which is what state is Holger gonna be in, especially after his lackluster performance in Miami, in the way in which he got quite handily beaten by Marozsan. Is his body going to be completely ready for the clay season? Who knows? But he didn't really have a great sunshine double last year, but still was able to have get to the final of two clay court masters this last year. So you never know. As Sinner has not taken advantage of 2 break points on the Korda serve there, the chance for a double break, and it hasn't taken it yet.
Yeah, it's not looking that bright though. Like it seems like everything, at least since when I started watching, like everything is kind of played on Jannik's terms.
Yeah, Jannik looks really comfortable already, to be honest.
There's no pressure that Korda is able to put on him. There's just Sinner standing there blasting the ball, and of course sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I mean these aren't really the patterns that Korda has to go for in order to win. Does Sinner have an obvious weakness? There's a question in the chat from Sean, and I guess the answer is no.
No, I can't think of any. Like his serve strong, his forehand strong, his backhand strong. He can rally, he can drop shot.
Yeah. By the time he improved,
it's a bit like he's becoming Novak Djokovic almost, in a way, or at least like Pete Djokovic.
In how he approaches the game right now, yeah, definitely.
It's like he's gone, right, we're going to make sure everything is excellent to outstanding, and that will mean that we'll be able to do pretty much anything we want. Because you think about the players that are in the previous gen that were good or are good. You look at Zverev. You look at the fact that you want to go to his forehand because that's where you're going to get the mistakes from. You look at Tsitsipas and you want to go to his backhand because that's where you're going to get the mistakes from. Medvedev, you want to bring him forward because he's not very good when it comes to the net. There are clear and obvious areas where you can easily exploit the player. Whereas with Sinner, and even to a degree Alcaraz, but I think the only thing with Alcaraz that people say is his serve that he could improve. But that's something that can easily that can be masked from point to point. But still, when he's on his game, he's still the best player in the world, one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world for Alcaraz when he plays his best at the highest level.
Yeah, I wouldn't use drop shot as like the obvious weakness or anything because it just doesn't fall into that category. I mean, it's useful, sure, it's great to have it, but it's not something that's really going to be excluding you from big titles if you don't. Of course, for a while, you could kind of argue that it was excluding Sinner in the Medvedev matchup, also his lack of sort of transition game and serve, the serve improvements that he made later very helped him out along with the drop shot. But yeah, I wouldn't say that it's like an obvious weakness for anyone, really. Yeah, definitely no, not at the moment. In Indian Wells, of course, he's lost 1 match this year. And that kind of demonstrates how incredible.
I think goes to the same more in terms of it's more speed. I think it is when it comes to Alcaraz's serve, especially his second serve. I know the kick is very good, but I think the pace of it means it allows the opposition to be able to get into his service game a little bit more. But also,
there's no problem with his serve in Indian Wells or on clay, right? Like it's only really indoors or indoors, a very fast hard court. Yeah. So
that's where it gets picked up the most. And I've been asked by Talking Tennis if I had a haircut. I think there was a couple of 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's just very flat today. Otherwise, it used to be a lot longer. Over there. Interesting as well. Tsitsipas is already a breakdown on De France's.
Yeah, that's a big one for Steph, definitely. Ghosty, Iga Świątek did not play like 2 drop shots in the clay season last year, and she still won Roland Garros. She still won Stuttgart. She made the finals of Madrid and lost via retirement in the quarterfinals of Rome. I mean, it's good to have it, but it's not a necessity. The fact that Marozsan beat Alcaraz doesn't prove anything. Just proves that yes, he used that tool very well, but wasn't like the whole basis of that win still great ball striking? Actually was. You know, drop shots look nice. Drop shot, definitely we remember them. And of course, in some rare cases, they can sort of decide the match. But that's kind of like double faults. Like people
and we can also attribute that Marajan match to the fact that Alcaraz had played so much tennis beforehand, and it was a complete different change in play conditions.
In a way, yes, absolutely. I think in the same way, sort of people tend to fixate on double faults. Or like sometimes after a match that a player loses, they would come out and say, I think it was Goff maybe against Sabalenka at the Australian Open, where I remember after this match, everyone in the chat was like, 8 double faults. Goff made 8 double faults. That's too many. But 5 of them were in the first 3 games or something like that. And then she still had, she was very close to taking that first set. She was like 2 points away. So they are kind of inconsequential largely. And again, like, of course, drop shots can in rare cases decide the match, but they're rarely going to be the thing that really wins you something. I remember, for example, there was this compilation on YouTube about Federer's forehand drop shot from 2009 Roland Garros. And that was the one where he worked with Jose Higueras, and he sort of taught him that shot, taught him, like, let's say, a new way of playing that shot, even a new swing. And that whole compilation had 23 drop shots over 7 matches, and was sort of trying to prove us that this was how he won the slam, which just doesn't work. And also, if you looked at when he played these drop shots, sure, it was like one of the aspects of the run. It was something that we remember from it, especially in collaboration with Higueras. But it wasn't exactly that impactful. But obviously, it's useful to have it. I'm not saying that people should stop drop shotting. No, definitely not. I'm just saying it's not a hole in Jannik's game. At least it's not a massive hole in Jannik's game.
Speaking of Jannik, it's double break up already. You got the double break.
Yeah, but as we said, I think on the before the changeover, like, it's just kind of everything is under his, ideas, under his terms, and there's nothing that Korda can do so far. And it's kind of both his fault and also the fact that Sinner is very comfortable on the clay already. I was actually kind of on the team of Jannik should skip Monte Carlo maybe. But I guess right now it looks incredible.
Go on, Damien. Explain your theory or your reasoning why he should not have made his way to the Principality.
No, I was just thinking, just 1 week of a break between Miami and Indian Wells. Maybe it's the right time to sort of just ease off and get some more rest. But obviously, if that's how his Monte Carlo is going to progress, and also if Alcaraz is out, this might actually be one of his finest chances to grab the big title on clay this year. So probably his best chance, actually, because, well, we are assuming that in other events, maybe Djokovic will be stronger, Alcaraz will be there. So it's kind of the best chance he has, even if he might claim more than one. I mean, it's probably the best one he will have statistically. So
yeah,
I guess I'm looking stupid right now.
That's right. Is Monte Carlo a principality? It is. I believe it is a principality. Yeah. So what's I going to say? Because Sinner's schedule is quite light clay wise. This swing. He's, as you say, down for Monte Carlo here. He's not down for any tournaments next week. And then he's down, and then it looks like it'll just be Madrid and Rome. I doubt he'll be going to either Geneva or Lyon the week before Roland Garros. But as you say, with Djokovic really being the only real big challenger left. I mean, he's got Medvedev on his side of the draw and Zverev, and the Zverev match on clay could be an interesting one. I remember the match that Sinner had with Zverev in the quarterfinals in Monte Carlo 2 years ago. It was a real epic, and it could have gone either way if it weren't for the fact that Sinner got blisters on his feet, which completely ruined it. But it very much, as you say, you can look at this as a chance to get that big one. He's already won a title on clay. That was Umag a couple of years ago, but to get
beating Alcaraz in the final.
He beat Alcaraz in the final, in a really good match, that one. But as you say, there's a chance for Sinner to get that 1,000 title on the clay, that big one sorted earlier on, and then it means that you can go into Madrid and Rome. Okay, Rome, he'll have the pressure because he's an Italian top. He'll be the second seed going into that event. He will have the pressure of an expectation of the Italian crowd to win that tournament. But he can kind of the pressure lessens somewhat if he is able to get Monte Carlo knocked off early.
Umag Ghosty, Umag 2022. 6-7, 6-1, 6-1 over Alcaraz in the final. What's up with Rublev? Can he officially say he's in a slump, says Ghosty. I didn't watch the match against Popyrin today, so that kind of doesn't allow me to have any judgment. I will say, though, that on the previous losses, Lehečka, Mahac, Menšík, 3 in a row to Czechs, I think these are actually ones that he's always been losing. Like when there's an opponent who comes out and just plays, has a very high peak level on the day, and Rublev with his, let's say, high floor, but no extra gear, usually no ability to throw off the opponent in any way. I think that's much as he's been losing. This one, though, as I said, I didn't watch it, but obviously as the defending champion, it is kind of hurtful. Absolutely.
I watched the match earlier on, and it was very much a case that Rublev was playing like a 7 out of 10 match. His first serves he wasn't getting enough in, but I think the slow pace of the court meant that Popyrin was able to get some really good returns on the Rublev serve, like really deep returns that were really basically taking away the ability for Rublev to get any easy cheap points, and then Popyrin's forehand and backhand. I mean, there was a stat that popped up that showed that he was on average hitting the forehand at like 123 kilometers an hour and the backhand at 125. I mean, it was just rockets from both wings. And Popyrin, funny enough, carrying on the UMAG theme, he won the UMAG title last year, beating Stan in the final, and Stan Wawrinka in the final, and is really a net depth on the actual on the clay courts. He actually quite likes the surface. So, and so Popyrin came out playing a 9 out of 10, Rublev a 6 out of 10, and it just led to the fact that one person really wanted it a lot more than the other. Does that make sense, Damien?
No, I mean, I didn't watch it, so everything you will say makes sense. You could be straight up lying to me and I have to accept it, but obviously, no, I believe you. I believe you. And yeah.
Oh, what a winner by Sinner there. Got the Korda with an absolutely brilliant drop shot. Sinner just got to it as it literally was bouncing on the far right hand corner of the net, and he managed to get it cross court on the cutest of angles and just bounced on the line. Geez, well done.
Can you please remind Ghosty James that out of these two men, one has a slump title as well?
Oh yeah, ouch!
And one has only one has a slump semi-final to his name too. No, I think Rublev. Oh Jesus! I mean, this is a very good match for Ghosty so far, though, because Korda is just absolutely getting demolished here. But yeah, when it comes to what was I going to talk about? Rublev. If I'm sort of looking at the ranking list right now, I think he is kind of closer to these, let's say, 6, 9, 10 guys than 1, 4, definitely. Zverev probably is like, somewhere in the middle. But yeah, I mean, I think a position of 6 in the rankings is pretty realistic for Rublev right now. He's not really close to Medvedev right now, nor he should be when it comes to simply the achievements that they've had over the past 52 weeks. And also there was a question from Sean that's actually kind of related. Is the level from top 10 to top 50 closer than ever? Definitely closer than when I started watching tennis, because in like 2014, 13, it used to be a very, very strong top 10. We had these years when it was Big Four, Del Potro, Dimitrov, Nishikori, Raonic, Cilic. They were all at 3K points, and Berdych, Ferrer, Tsonga, and they were all just insane. So you had like 10, 15 players who were absolutely, miles above the field. Right now, it doesn't feel like this. Right now, we kind of have 4 players who are more or less unbeatable to the others, but the rest is very much open. So I would say that it's definitely closer than in the last, let's say 10 years, and goes to lol Korda, and this has been a bit of a lol for Korda. Not that he's necessarily doing much wrong, but he's also like not applying any pressure to Sinner.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree that since the top, the big four, stopped being in existence in 2017 and kind of went down to the big three for a bit. That there has never been what feels like such a big gap between a group of players at the top and the rest of the top 10. I mean, when I started properly following tennis back in 21, it did feel like the top 10, even the top 15, were all interchangeable almost. They were a great group of players, but the ninth best player could beat the second best player in the world, and then the third best player could beat the first best player in the world, and it all sort of seemed to sort of mix together. But now, if you put Rublev in a match against Alcaraz, 99 times out of 10, I'd expect Alcaraz to win. Similar for Jannik and Djokovic, and Medvedev is still in that 10. And it's unfortunate for Medvedev really, because it feels like he's in that top 4, and he will beat everyone below him. But those 3 above him, I don't see him beating any of them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I honestly kind of started replying to a message midway. But I get where you were going, yes. So
because it almost feels like he's in this sort of like a purgatory state in the rankings where he's not really anywhere near the top 3, but he is quite far ahead of the 5 downwards. I mean, to a degree, Zverev is the big disruptor at the moment this season. He can get wins against those 3 other players, but he's not consistent enough to actually overtake any of those. Maybe overtake that Medvedev to have that sort of top, big 4 position.
Yeah, Zverev is like the clear number 5 right now, but it's still far from the top 4, and probably further from the top 4 than like 6, 7, 8. But yeah, if we're just talking about like guys around number 10 to number 50, that's a fair assumption. The Monte Carlo tennis facilities are just along the shore. Yeah, absolutely. It's basically you're watching the ocean from the crowd, from the stands.
It's a brilliant venue. I went a couple of years ago to Monte Carlo, and it's just the fact that you've got the sea, you've got the sun, you've got the it's a brilliant club to be able to go walk around and see all the sort of tennis courts, and there's a reason why it's one of the jewels in the crown, certainly of the clay court season, if not the entire tennis season as a whole.
Yeah, and I think actually the prestige of Monte Carlo will be going up from here, because the ATP has done this, well, let's say controversial thing of making most of the Masters 1000 events 2 weeks. And Monte Carlo and Paris are the only ones who are now staying 1 week ahead, as of next year at least. So that will actually make people like it more.
Yeah, it's so much. I'm quite fortunate. This week is one of the weeks I've got off work. That every single day it just feels like it's top quality player versus top quality players versus top quality player. Whereas, as we know from the month we've just had in March, the first 3-4 days of the tournament you can pretty much write off without actually seeing many top quality matches, and it takes a while for a tournament really to sort of get into the flow of things. And then the next thing you know, you get to the back end of the tournament and there's barely any matches left, and you've got 4 days of 4 days left before the whole tournament ends.
Aye, that kind of hurt, but I get it. Yeah. These first 3 days are probably my favorite of the event, but yeah, I mean, it does drag quite a lot. The sort of more action field system of Monte Carlo or Paris will have its followers. We'll still have people who will be like, okay, so yeah, these are the most exciting Masters now. And even though for years Monte Carlo was kind of like the one that was left out, so close after Miami, the only non-mandatory one. It's not like any it's not like any big players really skip it other than the Americans. So
yeah, the Americans decide that they prefer to play Houston and then completely skip Monte Carlo. I'm saying in terms of the first couple of days of the big 60. Of the
I
96
know,
format,
I know, but
it's the best you're going to get is the 33rd ranked player versus the 34th ranked player if the draw rank works out that way. As your big match, and thanks to the likes like Murray and whatnot, who has always been ranked below 32, he's been able to at least create some drama and really some big intrigue. And I absolutely am all for those matches. All for those matches. You think about the Berrettini one in Miami this year. It tends to be a case that the real good contests don't really kick off until the Sunday.
That was my reaction to Sebastian Korda just being, thrown around the court from corner to corner and corner to corner. And
whereas, what we saw with Monte Carlo this week, I mean, we've got Taylor Fritz versus Lorenzo Musetti as a first round match on a Sunday, literally like the third match up. That was like, that's a contest. That's something that you can really get your teeth into early on, and then it's boom all the way through. I mean, I like the format. Sorry to keep on with the format, as Sinner has 2 break points here early in the second set. Not to keep talking about the format, but I think we do like Indian Wells and Miami under the old system of being a little bit of it kind of creates a bit of a break in the season or a different style of tournament, a bit of variety into it. But I think after 2 weeks of that type of style or a month of that style of tournament, it's like, okay, that's okay there. But I mean, if they wanted to have this sort of system, maybe have a situation where you have one of thinking about the 2 areas of the calendar it's going to take place in, the Madrid Rome one, maybe have one as a 96 player draw and one as a traditional 56 player draw, and then similar have maybe Cincinnati or Canada as a 96, and then the other one as the 56 player draw, because then it means that you can have both systems. Okay, you've got 1 week at a 2 thing, and then another week where you have a lot of high quality players straight from the get, going at it. And then, but instead of having a full 4 week system where you're going to have a similar sort of tournaments. I don't know what you think about
that. Yeah, I think Indian Wells, Miami were fine sort of on its own. No one was really complaining about that. But now that everything is 2 weeks, yeah, it does lose kind of its special value, I would say. Ghosty, this horrific crime that John is talking about is me murdering him on the courts of Jamor, where he's probably headed now for the Billie Jean King Cup. That's what John is referring to. And also about another horrific crime, Sean says that Humbert is killing it right now.
He is. He's just
being Xi Zhang.
He's just taken the first set 6-1 on court 9. So Humbert is planning on getting his match done quite quickly.
Did make quite a lot of progress on clay last year, and it seems like he's continuing that patch. And also Stefanos Tsitsipas 4-1 up, I think, after losing the first game. Quite a crucial event for Steph.
He's certainly got locked himself back in. Echeverry needs to wake up a bit there on De France's.
Did I smack Silky around a bit? I mean, John will tell you that was because of the balls. Well, admittedly, our balls weren't the highest quality. We kind of had to get them from the club. They didn't have any to buy or rent, and the guy just kind of found some on the windowsill. I'm not even joking. But, they weren't that horrible. I mean, John basically started complaining about just like 3 games. And, up until the end of the match, he would say, oh, no, I can't play with these balls. The match is over. You're going to see it probably on YouTube at some point. But, like, the match is over and he comes into the camera and throws the ball into the court to show that they're not bouncing. But we had the same conditions. We had the same balls, and it was not a tough match. Let's say that.
You're saying you just adapted better than John to the conditions.
No, actually, John, because Ghosty is pointing this breakdown, John was actually getting to my drop shots really well. I'm not sure if I won like 1 or 2 points, maybe like straight up via drop shots. There was definitely a drop shot lob combo, but I also lost some points after drop shots. John was actually like that was one of his best abilities in that match, I'd say, that he was getting to my drop shots very well. surprisingly well. I was not used to that. There were a few which I played and I was like, okay, so the point is over. But actually, no. Backhand slice winner probably didn't happen, but forehand, that would be like 90% probably of my winner breakdown.
As we've got a little bit of a long opening game here at the moment, but or opening serve for Korda at the moment, as he's determined to try at least hold serve somewhere.
Ooh, yeah, good. Credit where it's due. That one breakpoint save was really nice. The forehand down the line.
I do have another match that was completed. Gilles and Villain have beaten Doddridge and Kravich on court 11, 6-4, 6-3. I know they've got a bit of fear this week at the moment, Damien. Let's say this week of today of rain potentially again.
Today,
the percentage chance increases as a brilliant holder serve there by Korda, putting center this way and that. It's on BBC, at least at the BBC weather, it was every single hour the percentage chance of rain is increasing.
Okay.
Today's, I think, the last day that they're going to have potential issue with rain. From tomorrow onwards, it's all glorious sunshine.
Okay. No, but now that I at least Google now tells me that it's like 25% at the best, so it's looking pretty good actually. For now, it's just really showing like mostly cloudy until the end of the day. But yeah, yesterday was actually quite lucky. For a while, it seemed that maybe we're maybe only gonna play like, I don't know, one match on every court, right? But actually, everything was wrapped up yesterday, and that was a big help given how the day started weather-wise.
Ghost is asking, did Team Fritz/Rue move on? They are into the quarterfinals. They won yesterday their round of 16 match.
Already 2 rounds. Oh.
Well, I think because they obviously want Fritz and Rune to continue in the doubles. Carlo, they were like, with Fritz no longer being in the singles draw,
But when they withdrew last year from doubles, right? Like when Fritz maybe.
They got to the semis, I believe, didn't they, in the doubles last year? And
they withdrew, I think, yeah.
But they obviously like the fact that those two are playing in the doubles, and now they've got them into the quarterfinals. I mean, I'm one of those people that watches Morgan's videos on YouTube. And what she said is that it sounds as though Taylor's going to be looking to try and get the late exception, the LE into Munich next week. But whilst they're still in the doubles, it seems like Taylor's going to remain in Monte Carlo.
And Dodik Krajcek, by the way, that was the winning team last year. So the defending champions are out.
Yeah. Remember that final that was against, what was it? Something, was it Van Ock and Weisborn? I know it's something in Weisborn in that final.
Arnoldo Weisborn, right?
No, that was it. And isn't it Weisborn who's Monegasque, or is it?
No, Arnoldo is from Monaco. Weisborn is Austrian.
Arnaldo was the Monegasque, and the king, the king of Monte Carlo, and up on the stands, absolutely celebrating like crazy every single point that the Monegasque team was winning every single point. So yeah, it was a good final, that one.
Yeah, Ghosty, you can check it out on YouTube. I think it's on Jack's channel. Jack and Scott playing. But otherwise, I don't think we've had many talking tennis matchups. I'm pretty sure that there's been like one more instance when some guys were on the court, but I don't know if they actually played, a match. But like the talking tennis showdown of me and John, kind of unprecedented, yes. And I hope. Actually, Ghosty, I think you can see it already, because if I remember correctly, John told me that he was gonna put it on like member only or something like that. But it's probably like the full footage. So I think you're gonna have to wait for a highlight package, which will mostly be my winners. Let's let's be honest. What did you play Nick in then? Like, what have you played Nick at, John, then? At tennis, no? But did you just sort of like play him, in that sense? You tricked him into whatever? That sounds like you. And
I
Tsitsipas
think
2
clearly
set
what
points up.
everyone's looking for is some sort of like talking tennis tournament where we get everyone together to do like a
That would be amazing, but like, how do you get all these people in one place, right?
from America, from like you are in
Yeah.
Poland, me in the UK, Mario in Italy, all together in one place.
That would be absolutely fantastic. Maybe at some point they will like release this version of tennis when you can, one person plays on a half a court in one country and the other plays in the other, and somehow the
It just like
I don't
fires the
know.
ball through where it thinks it's going to go.
Exactly, yeah, like video sort of review. There's a video system which sort of sends the ball at you, just like the opponent played it. I mean, I don't think we're close to this with the technology, but yeah, I saw that. I saw that, John. I saw the videos with Ostapenko, and that was very close actually to where we played. Probably had the better balls, Ostapenko. But when I watched the video, it was similar. I mean, she was crushing her forehand, just like me. Haha. Mario's playing style. Yeah, no idea actually. Italian Dustin Brown. I hope so, but I don't know. Yeah, I really have no clue. I can't even sort of give you a guess.
Nick, they run around all the time.
Who is Sinner? I'm not even gonna say Sinner or Korda. Who is Sinner playing next? Yeah, that's true. That's actually kind of interesting. I mean, the quarterfinalist from last year.
Yeah, I mean Struff playing really well at the moment. Got 2 good victories against Courage and who's the person he beat? I remember him beating somebody quite handedly. Baez, that was it. He was what was it? He was 5-2 down in the second set and managed to
1-6 to 5 down.
match.
Yeah.
Bit of a surprise really, because Baez has been on fire on the clay court so far this season.
Then again, Struff, quarterfinalist from last year, finalist from Madrid. Best part of the season for him last year.
But as usual, we'll see Baez on a clay court very soon, as we always do. Whenever there's a chance for him to play a main tour clay court tournament, he is there.
Just 2 unforced errors from Sinner in the second set so far. 10 from Korda already.
Ouch.
In the first set, they were pretty much even, despite, of course, Sinner winning it 6-1.
And then Korda just buries one in the net there. It does seem like we're probably moving ourselves. I can see the stat you're talking about there. Yeah, but
I'm quite far ahead, but I haven't been using that right to spoiler quite a lot. Especially as the match. I mean, we haven't maybe been focusing on it that much, but it's also because this has been very clean from Sinner so far. As in fact, he gets 2 breakpoints here once again. Of course, very easily could have broken in the first game of this set.
I mean, this is just there's a joke on here about reporting him to the Italian police here for the bullying he's doing at the moment. Oh,
Yeah.
poor Sinner.
It's been a bit of a hopeless season for Sebastian Korda so far. Like, just hopeless in terms of, let's say, breaking through to and whatever the next level for him could be. And he's similarly hopeless in this match so far.
What has he done this season?
Nothing.
Absolutely not even a couple of round wins. I can't even think about any sort of like major results for him.
Third round of the Australian Open.
That's about it.
I know that's not really some sort of stunning result, but it is like 100 points. Semi-finals in Adelaide, but then he got thrashed by Lehechka, so yeah, it's not like it was anything special. Quarters in Dubai, but there he retires to Rublev. Yeah, nothing sensational. Third rounds at Miami in Indian Wells, but that needs only 1 win from him, of course, being a seed in both events. Yeah,
It's almost
I mean,
as though he reached seeding and that was about it.
pretty much, yeah. 31st in the ATP race, though, so it's not like, he's about to drop off really in the rankings. He's still very much keeping himself around that 30-ish position, but that's not amazing. And John says that he's off to Stuttgart next week, so that I guess that means that either Barcelona said no, or Barcelona just still hasn't said anything, which in both cases, kind of works the same. Does Korda lack the explosive movement? Because his technique seems picture perfect. His technique is definitely kind of like picture perfect, and that's what excites people so much. Does he lack the explosive movement? What does Sebastian Korda lack? It's not an easy question.
Good question. I'm guessing it's just mistakes would be one thing I could potentially point to. He is somebody that can commit a lot of unforced errors in a match.
I remember we always used to talk about the serve, but of course he's improved that. We used to talk about the forehand being like a little wonky maybe sometimes. We used to talk about the mental side of the game not being too strong. But in 2023, early on, it seemed like he's very close to ironing out all of this stuff. And right now, I really don't know why he's stagnated like this, but this match kind of shows you where the guy is, right?
It just seems like consistency in rallies as well. Just you can hit brilliant point, and then all of a sudden he'll just hit an unforced error somewhere, or he'll get forced into a position which he's uncomfortable in. Yeah, because backhand's good, forehand's good, serve's good.
Ghosty says he lacks heart, has no fire. Maybe. Ghost, if you're talking about the women's Stuttgart, yes, women's Stuttgart is always stacked. WTA 500, 28 players, and it's usually the cut is like 40 or something. But Stuttgart ATP, no, if you are talking about that, not really, because I think John was with Struff was obviously talking about the grass one, and with Going he was talking about the clay one. But I'm assuming you were talking about the women's clay event, which is of course coming up next week, and it will be the first clay event for many players from the top.
I mean, remember the final last year at Stuttgart was Iga Świątek versus Aryna Sabalenka. I mean,
I think twice in a row.
Yeah, those two always gone. The winner gets a Porsche, and Iga's got two of them.
Yeah, and Aryna still doesn't. So apparently, Korda lacks Ghosty's support as well. I like that argument. I like that thesis. I think if Ghosty started being a Korda supporter, instant sort of surge to the top from Sebi. Which is why Ghosty will now not support Korda even more. Although I'm not sure if that's possible.
I mean, let's see if we get the field up for Stuttgart next week. I've now got a bit between my teeth on this.
Yeah, I never check WTA entry lists because they're so tough to find.
Ridiculously tough. Now that darts tennis no longer do WTA ones, it's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Luckily, there's an account on Twitter which I follow, which who's somehow managed to actually at least get some inside information as to who the players are.
What are we talking about?
A basic thing like knowing who's playing a tournament, we can't even find out. The WTA don't even release it until the day of the event starting. I mean,
yeah, there's always this Italian website.
Thought that was a good idea.
There's always this Italian website that sort of people used to go for, but it's definitely a much weaker version of darts tennis. Let's say that.
Yeah. So I've got as Tsitsipas has won the first set 6-1. So here we go. So luckily the event do have published on their website the players. So they've got here's the roll call: Iga Świątek, Aryna Sabalenka, Coco Gauff, Elena Rybakina, Jessica Pegula, Ons Jabeur, Qinwen Zheng, Marketa Vondrousova, Elena Ostapenko, Jasmine Paolini, Ludmila Samsonova, Katerina Alexandrova, Veronika Kudermetova, Emma Navarro, Barbora Krejcikova, Soyas Kristea, Marta Kostniuk, Elise Mertens, Anastasia Potapova, Linda Noskova, Tatiana Maria, Laura Sigmund, Emma Raducanu, and Angelique Kerber.
That must be wildcards, these last few, right?
Yeah, the last 3 are wildcards because the cutoff for this event at the moment is 31.
So Tatiana Maria got in?
Maria 48 coming in on the wildcard.
So that's four wildcards then.
Oh, sorry, 4 wildcards. My fault. Sorry.
Because Maria, Zygmunt, Raducanu, and who did you say last?
Kerber.
Yeah, makes sense. That's very exciting, actually.
Yeah, 3 have gone to Germans, and then the 4th to Emma. But because Emma's a Porsche, it's a Porsche player, she will automatically get a wildcard to the event.
Very old as well in terms of the German wildcards. I mean, Zygmunt, Maria, Kerber, they are all like 35 plus, right?
Yeah, that's really weird, isn't it? Like, there's a couple of young Germans that are coming up the rankings that I would have thought they could have given a wildcard to.
Yeah, Noha Kugue, Les, Schunk, I don't know. Yeah, there are options, but
yeah, so that's the field in Stuttgart, and then I know there's a 250 taking place in France as well, which Caroline Garcia is going to.
Yeah, Rouen. All of them actually, Maria, Zygmunt, and Kerber, are 36.
There we go.
That's pretty wild, but then again, of course, Angelique Kerber, I get why. There's also obviously Laura Zygmunt, who's won this event before in the past and has done amazingly in it over the years. But it still feels a little weird, that all 3 wildcards are going to 36-year-olds. all three German wildcards.
All 3 of the German wildcards, and then the international one goes to Emma, who's 2021, I think, 2021.
Huh?
I was saying the wild card for Emma, she's around about 2021. That was all.
And she got one last year as well, didn't she?
Yeah. She got one last year. And then it's
last event, I think. I think it was her last event of the season in 2023, right?
She got absolutely destroyed by Ostapenko in that first round match.
Yeah.
I think she did all right the year before. I think mainly because she got a really good draw where she ended up playing like a qualifier and then a wild card in the second round.
And then Świątek.
And then she played Iga in the quarters.
Yeah.
But, got a couple of round wins at the event.
Sebastian Korda won a game, by the way, in the meantime.
Who's won a game?
Sebastian Korda.
Hey. 4-2 at the moment to Sinner, so it's coming into the home straight for the Italian. Yeah, Tsitsipas looks like he's destroying Echeverry at the moment. He's 2-love up in the second, and he's got 2 break points already. On serve with Hurkacz and Batista Agut, but it's stabilised against Zhang and Humber, where it's 3-2 to Zhang at the moment on serve. I think, like you said, Damien, as well, we've got the 2 Spaniards, the 2 big Spaniards on the men's tour. We've Nadal and Alcaraz. The understanding Nadal is currently practicing in Barcelona today to see if he can play the event. And then Alcaraz is going to decide on Friday if his arm injury is too severe for him not to play.
Very long trade here between the 2 guys. Sinner stopping play, and apparently he's right. Damien de Mussois checking the mark. Yeah, this is pretty much done, and pretty amazing start so far from Sinner on the clay season.
Well, although we don't want to count our chickens just yet, as you know, the match is not fully over. But yeah, it looks like
it has been since the 5th game.
It's looking. I mean, it's looking at the moment like Sinner's going to be doing a run to the final, and It's just looking so.
There, I'm actually not counting my chickens or our chickens yet because, well, you've got Struff in the next round, who's at least a bigger hitter and can kind of like put on some pressure, maybe. And then you also have Rune potentially in the quarters. And I would love to see this match on the courts of Monte Carlo. Of course, Sinner right now would be a pretty big favorite, undeniably.
Backhand. Yep, now 5-2 on my screen for Sinner. Goes actually picking up a good thing about shot tolerance. He seems to, when it does go past to around about the 10 to 15 shot rally mark, it does seem that's where he ends up breaking down.
Seems like Tsitsipas is winning quite easily. That's not to know.
I tell you what, that's quite a bit of a surprise given that he's playing Thomas Martin Echeverry, who is a very good clay courter, and what was it, around about 30 in the world player. So yeah, could we be seeing the resurgence of Tsitsipas? Maybe he's finding his fifth form on clay.
Let's see what he does against Zverev, because that's like always the big deal here. Whether he can beat Zverev, and then whether he can beat Kachanov, Medvedev, whoever it will be. Third round, would be just sort of a continuation, I guess, of his result last year. And now he went to the quarters last year, right? But yeah, he needs a super strong clay swing.
Yeah, he made seeding last year as well, I remember. But then lost to Fritz in that quarterfinal, didn't he?
I mean, I guess last year was he still a top 4 seed at the time?
He would have been certainly a top 8 seed, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but I think he would have been a top 4 seed, so he kind of didn't make his seeding, if you may.
What seeding was he then last year?
Must be top 4 since he played Fritz in the quarters, I think.
Help with my phone internet works.
Second seed, I just checked.
He was a second seed?
Yeah. No Alcaraz.
Wow. No Alcaraz. Djokovic got knocked out early.
Medvedev, no Nadal, I guess, which at the time, I guess Nadal maybe would have still been. Yeah, probably Nadal would have been higher than Tsitsipas in the rankings at the time still.
Good old. Yeah, here we are. The top seed. So Djokovic was the top seed last year, with Tsitsipas as the second, Medvedev the third, Ruud the fourth, Rublev the fifth, Rune the sixth, Sinner the seventh, Fritz the eighth, and then it was Kachanov, Hurkacz, Norrie, Tiafoe, Zverev, De Minaur, Coric, and Musetti made up the top 16 seeds.
Time flies. I mean, that's the only thing I can say when it comes to Stefanos Tsitsipas being a top 2 seed at a Masters 1000 event.
So by the way, he's gone from 2 to 10. That's 2 to 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jannik Sinner, by the way, answering some questions regarding his drop shot prowess here.
Okay, so I've got Sinner with match point, 2 match points. Tilbare is the match, as it's written on the scoreboard. LT just about gets onto that from Sinner. Backhand cross court by Korda, up the line by Sinner. And out by Korda, and there we go. So Jannik Sinner comfortably swats away Sebastian Korda for the loss of just 3 games. Yikes. That certainly puts, as we've been saying throughout this match, that certainly puts a marker down for the rest of the tour. Sinner's form is looking like he's wanting to bring it over to the clay courts as well as from the hard courts.
Yeah. Maybe that's actually also going to be a thing, now that Jannik sort of can overwhelm everyone with just his ground strokes. Maybe on clay, it's going to be even tougher to put pressure on him in a way. I don't know. I mean, we have to wait and see until we get him against either like an elite defender or like a proper big hitter on top of his game. But yeah, today, I mean, that was just total domination. Korda got walloped. 6 winners to Sinner's 17. Enough said, really. I mean, but off the baseline, Korda won 28 points, Sinner won 46. It really was total domination. A lot more unreturned serves as well from Jannik. There's not much that Korda was able to do. 0 out of 8 at the net, Korda, interestingly as well. That's quite a stat.
Sounds like quite a stat as well. Jesus. Just to give everyone just a little bit more of a rundown of where we are on other matches, I suspect Tsitsipas has won. He hasn't yet, but he's 4-love up in the second, so it looks like he is making his way along. It looks like at the moment that a lot of the courts could be finishing quite early today. Because yesterday it was a late finish with Beast versus Musetti on De Prances. That match started, I think, at around about 7 o'clock local time, 6 o'clock UK time, which generally actually because of the way that they do the scheduling for Monte Carlo, it's quite rare for them to actually get many night sessions. Isn't that right, Damien?
Well, last year actually, there were plenty of night sessions.
Yeah, you tend to need to have, I'm guessing, like a lot of long matches throughout the day for there to be a match that will end up going into.
I think last year they were kind of scheduling it like this as well, right? I mean, there was that huge deal with the quarterfinals where, what was it, Medvedev Zverev that was scheduled last or something like that, and then Medvedev didn't have any. Or was it third round? Third round maybe, and then Medvedev didn't. Then Medvedev was scheduled third on the next day and didn't have any energy left for the Rune match. But last year they were actually scheduling them a little different. I don't know. Maybe this year they went for a different strategy because of that these new rules that the ATP put in place of like when a match has to start and finish and etc. I don't know, but last year it definitely feels like the scheduling was a little different in terms of we had some really late matches, but maybe that was just them going pretty long. Because, for example, Medvedev Zverev on one day, from what I can see, started after 8 p.m. But yeah, I guess maybe that was just the effect of Musetti Djokovic earlier being a very long affair. Maybe that wasn't actually planned by the organizers. But yeah, I don't remember now.
No, I think generally because if we started at 10 o'clock and they have 4 matches, at least on the two main courts, they'd have only 4 matches each on both courts, meaning that unless you have a couple of matches which go close to 3 hours, you're not going to have many matches that are going to. Because yesterday, the centre court, all the matches were done around about an hour and 15 every single match, so it basically just shut up centre court quite quickly, and that was even with a 2-hour delayed start. So yeah, I'd say it more in terms of it's sort of weird thing now that tennis is back in Europe. I know for us too, which is we just have months of tennis going on quite late in the evening, the US swing and whatnot. And with last week as well, Estoril had night sessions built into its schedule, and then also Houston, Charleston, that all taking place in the evening. It was like yesterday. It was like, okay, this is the only match that we got on, and it's got quite an early start. Like, hopefully it goes on a little bit more. But we know for certainly for the 2 Masters events after this one, that they have designated night sessions, so there will be nighttime tennis still in Europe. We better then call it a day here because we can see that we've got Monfils and Medvedev. We're going to have a watch along for that coming up very soon. And we want to make sure that we're off in time so that people can, so the people that are coming in before us can coming in after us can get themselves ready there. So, any final thoughts, Damien, on this match?
Yeah, I mean, I was maybe expecting a bit of a slower start from Sinner. In that case, Korda pushing for a set, maybe taking a set, but it was just complete domination from the get-go. So we'll see how that works out in the next rounds. I think there will be tougher tests for Jannik coming along. We have to sort of see how he reacts to the big power of Struff, how he reacts to potentially the varied counter-punching of Rune. But yeah, this was rough. This was a bit of a reality. I guess everyone has had their reality checks in terms of Korda right now. Checks, by the way, haha, no pun intended. But when it comes to this one, this was like probably a very serious. Like if anyone still believed that Sebastian Korda is sort of on a good path right now, this was just sort of telling you what happens when he faces a top player. Which yeah, it wasn't a great picture.
It wasn't indeed. Well, thank you so much for popping on when you did. But this is our match over, and as you say, stick around please for Medvedev Monfils for the watch along there, and all other great matches which are coming from Monte Carlo this week in this more condensed version of the Master Series, which me and Damien both like and prefer. Maybe not spell words, but
if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.